Welcome to the importance of food enzymes. I'm Dr. Nick Gatto, a chiropractor in private practice for 36 years. For the past decade, I have also had the distinguished pleasure to teach for the Food Enzyme Institute. Before we discuss what food enzymes are and why they are absolutely essential for you to maintain healthy function, and before I share with you some background information on food enzymes, I'm going to entice you with a few examples of certain symptomatic patterns that will occur with individual nutrient and enzyme deficiencies. A patient who is protein deficient or has a protease deficiency will complain of cold hands and feet, of being too wet, such as constant runny nose, too much saliva, or moist hands. Whereas a person with a complex carbohydrate deficiency, one who does not eat enough fruits and vegetables, or a person who consumes excessive simple or refined carbohydrates, presents as being too dry, with thick, sticky mucus, a dry mouth, and constant thirst. Lipids or fats have their own set of presenting symptoms, or a patient may have one or more of these deficiencies. The clinical use of food enzymes offers a scientifically based protocol to correct these symptoms, restore normal function, and maintain health. Now, back to the history of food enzymes. Dr. Edward Howe was a medical doctor who graduated in the early 1920s from the University of Illinois Medical School, about the same time vitamin C was first isolated. In the 1930s, he postulated the concept of food enzymes, that fresh, uncooked, raw foods contained enzymes that assisted the body's digestive process to break down the food and facilitate its absorption to nourish the body. He worked for decades treating patients with chronic degenerative conditions with raw food diets and food enzymes to restore their health. Dr. Howe ultimately founded an enzyme company in Chicago that he eventually sold. Fast forward to the 1980s. Dr. Howard Loomis Jr., a second-generation chiropractor who had a deep understanding of nutrition, biochemistry, and human physiology, was approached by Dr. Howe's original enzyme company to determine how to apply food enzymes in a clinical setting. Dr. Loomis began to work on the concept of food enzymes to determine the signs and symptoms of the different enzyme deficiencies. After 5 years of clinical research, in 1985, Dr. Loomis began to educate healthcare practitioners of all disciplines on the use of food enzymes. The Loomis Institute of Enzyme Nutrition, founded in 2003, today is known as the Food Enzyme Institute. So, what are food enzymes and where do they come from? Enzymes are a large class of protein substances that are produced by all living cells. They are essential for life because they act as catalysts for all biochemical reactions that run the metabolic functions of our bodies. Enzymes require coenzymes or cofactors that are vitamins and minerals. We are limiting our discussion today to food enzymes that basically do two things to assist our body in health maintenance. One, plant enzymes pre-digest your food. And two, they assist your immune system for a proper response. Today, all nutritional studies recommend eating at least 6 servings of fresh fruits and vegetables daily. What do fresh fruits and vegetables have that the canned items do not? Enzymes. Dr. Howe classified enzymes into 3 broad classifications. 1, those in the food. 2, those made by our body for digestion. And 3, metabolic enzymes that run the metabolic functions of our cells. Enzymes are very specific in the work that they do. Protease digests protein. Amylase digests starch. Lipase digests lipids or fats, and cellulase digests soluble fiber. Enzymes require specific environmental conditions to work. mainly body heat or specific temperatures. Water, proper pH. Plant enzymes work in a much broader pH than animal enzymes. And enzymes have to have something to work on, or a substrate. Dr. Howe theorized that when we eat and consume enzyme-deficient foods, our body is forced to produce all the enzymes needed for digestion. Pulling the enzymes from other parts of the body creates a competition for these enzymes among the organ systems and tissues. Chronic degenerative conditions may be a direct result of these enzyme deficiencies. Approximately 100 years ago, the need to preserve and store food for large sections of the population in large urban and suburban areas became paramount. This is why the food industry had to adapt to find ways to neutralize the enzymes contained in the food to extend shelf life. In processing the food, the enzymes, the vitamins, and the minerals are all removed. All but the enzymes are replaced so that the food has an extended shelf life. It is estimated by the year 2050 that the world's food supply is going to have to double. Most of that food will be enzyme deficient, or at least enzyme compromised. Moving forward into the 21st century, with more processed, enzyme deficient food being consumed that is being grown in enzyme and nutrient depleted soils, along with the increased consumption of genetically modified foods, the knowledge of supplemental plant-based enzymes, how to use them, when to use them, with a meal, after a meal, in between meals, will be essential for you to maintain normal healthy function or correct chronic conditions for you, your patients, or your families. Dr. Loomis has spent the last 40 years developing a system that will teach you to do just that. Thanks for watching. If you are interested in more education in the clinical use of food enzymes, please visit the Food Enzyme Institute website at www.foodenzymeinstitute.com.